What is up, everybody? It's Justin here at S&K Greenhouse. I'm actually down in my garden today because I'm going to dig up these peppers behind me, put them in these pots and overwinter them. It's November the 3rd. We have a frost coming in just 2 nights and it would definitely be detrimental to these peppers. So what I'm going to do is take my shovel, dig these up, being as careful as I can not to sever too much of the root system. I'm going to put them in these pots, which are halfway filled with topsoil. The other half I'm going to fill with this Happy Frog soil. Y'all know how much I love Happy Frog from my previous videos, and I'm going to place them inside my greenhouse. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. I don't have a greenhouse at home, so if you don't, make sure to put them inside your house in a south-facing window. That's going to be the window that gets the most sun throughout the day. Our greenhouses are probably going to be heated around 55 degrees, and inside your house, you're going to be probably around 70 degrees. And that's enough to keep them alive, but it's probably not enough to keep them thriving and producing. So don't be surprised if they go dormant or just don't produce any blooms. I am in Zone 7 in Shelby, North Carolina, which means I'll probably move my pepper plant back outside permanently around the middle of April. That's our last frost date. Of course, you can bring your pepper plant outside before then on the warm sunny days, but just make sure to move it back inside if it's going to frost. And just to keep your peppers kind of nice and compact, don't be scared to prune. I'm going to transplant these in these pots, and as soon as they get rooted in, I am probably going to cut 6 or 8 inches off of them. Pruning your peppers back will also help you keep a nice bushy plant, and it might even help it produce more. So behind me here, I have a sweet bell pepper called Giant Marconi. I also have a Carolina Reaper, a Ghost Pepper, a Trinidad Scorpion, and a couple cayenne pepper plants. So now there's nothing left to do, but let's dig them up and get started. So this is the Carolina Reaper, and as you can see, it's got a pretty good bit of roots on it, but it's still a relatively shallow root system. I have a 15-gallon pot here. This might be overkill. You could use a smaller pot at home if you're trying this, but I thought, you know what, I might just leave this pepper plant in here permanently. So I wanted to make sure I got a large enough pot to keep this thing for years to come. Ow, I just hit myself in the face.
I didn't get that on camera.
You didn't?
No.
And now I'm about to do something crazy, unorthodox, psychotic. I'm gonna plant these 2 cayenne peppers together in this pot. No, seriously, the cayenne peppers are very small, compact peppers, and rather than putting them in 2 giant containers, I'm just going to put them both in the same pot and make basically one mega pepper. You can kind of see what I mean. This is the cayenne pepper. Very shallow root system, even though this thing's been growing in this raised bed since like April. Still pretty compact, so I'm going to definitely be able to fit both of these guys in the same pot. All right guys, fast forward a couple days later, I'm here in my greenhouse warm and snug with my pepper plants, and I think I've avoided any type of transplant shock. Now, one thing I could have done before I dug them up was go ahead and chop them back and then transplant them. It would be kind of harsh, but pepper plants are pretty resilient and they would have made it. However, I just decided to dig them up as they were, leave all the peppers on there, transplant them into their pots as carefully as possible, and just continue to grow them here in the greenhouse because we do have some warmer days ahead, and I might be able to squeeze out a few more peppers off these plants. There are 2 really important tips I want to mention to you. One is try not to bring your native soil inside a greenhouse or your house. That native soil could potentially be full of fungus gnats, creepy crawler critters, and it could even develop mold, and you don't want that in your house. Therefore, always use a sterile potting soil. The second thing I wanted to mention is at home, you probably don't want to put your pepper plants in pots this big. When you're using a very large pot, you can easily overwater and cause root rot, especially during the winter. Peppers are not going to need that much moisture. You want to keep them on the dry side. I only chose these huge pots because I'm probably going to grow them in these containers for years to come. However, you are going to want to water your pepper plants occasionally through the winter, but just make sure to let the soil dry out in between. Why am I really doing this? What is the advantage of overwintering your peppers? Why don't I just start from scratch next spring? The answer is very simple. Pepper plants are slow. You can start them from seed in January and you still won't be able to eat a pepper until July or August. By wintering over these mature plants and setting them out in April, I will have peppers way quicker, and not to mention there's going to be an abundance of them. All right guys, that wraps up today's video. If you want to see more plant content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Until next time, become a plant person.